Hi everyone, it's Rebecca here, and today I'm going to talk about a genus of fish called Apistogramma, and I'm mainly going to focus on the easier to keep, well, the ones that actually interest me. These are the larger bodied Apistogramma, so that includes Apistogramma macmasteri, Apistogramma cacatouides, borelli and hongsloi. I can't pronounce them, but I'll write them in the description. So here I have Apistogramma macmasteri, and I've had this group. It's a male and his 3 females, which they're, well, actually no, it's 2 females now, and they're a little dominance with the females, but they generally do harem in the wild, and there's enough hiding places to have multiple females in this tank. It doesn't look like it in the, because the camera's not very good at showing it. So generally you have one male and a female in the tank. I prefer to start off with a harem and see who pairs up. This male is about, I'd say about 2 years old. I did have another male in another tank, and he was about 3 years old, but I lost him this year. So this is the double red Apistogramma macmasteri. I did have a gold. I can show a photo in the description, but I don't have him anymore. So they generally do have the more blue face, but the red reaching down across just above the lateral line. Apistogramma macmasteri is quite easy to identify. It's often sold as Apistogramma, oh gosh, what's it called? Vegeta, but Vegeta you won't be able to get in the UK unless you go to a specialist breeder, because they're generally difficult to catch, and Colombia has had conflict which makes them difficult to obtain from that country. Same for the blue-eyed panic. I can't pronounce any of the Latin names. So at the front you can see my male. He's a bit bland compared to what my gold looked like, and they're generally the more easy to care for of the Apistogramma, the larger ones. There are a few like the Vegeta which I'd be a bit more wary about, but generally for them due to the rarity and the price. So Apistogramma comes in a massive range, and they count as dwarf cichlids. Dwarf cichlids is generally a category of under 12 centimetres. So they are typical cichlids, so they'll be a bit grumpy and moody. And it's mostly due to being territorial, but they're on a much smaller scale. And although they do dig, sadly due to my hair grass isn't enjoying it at the moment, but because it's all dug up along here and there's some floating at the top, they don't dig as destructively as something like severums, and they're also much more easy to have in a sort of specialised community tank, so a soft water community. Being South American dwarf cichlids, they are very similar to the rams in which they prefer soft water. Now you can keep them in hard water, but like rams they do prefer soft water, so around 6 to 7 pH is preferable. 6 is better, but it's more difficult to keep the nitrogen cycle going in the lower pHs. And you can keep them with quite a lot of fish. Most people actually keep them with corridors, and I actually got back into corridors and I got so bored of them I decided to switch to loaches, and I thought I'd try out the Pangeo genus. So that's what mine are with, and some lampies at the top, some pleco and swellia. Oh, I can't pronounce the name. So they're generally good for a planted tank. The reason I don't really do planted is because naturally in the wild they don't come from planted areas, which most people don't realise that they're blackwater fish. And many of the blackwater fish, it's so high in like tannins, it's so dark that plants don't really grow. But that's why I've also got leaf litter, because both the Pangeo prefer and the dwarf cichlids, because that's what they naturally come from, and quite a few of the pleco and other genuses do. So, and leaf litter provides hiding places. It makes the tank a bit mucky when it breaks down, but fish generally do seem to enjoy it more. They're one of the more easy dwarf cichlids. I prefer them. I don't really get fish just because there's some status and difficult or easy to keep. my first ever fish was Apistogramma the cockatoo dwarf cichlid, which was said really badly. So I'm a big fan of them. I find them sweet and just lovely. They do like tanks which aren't high in nitrates, and especially the rams, which is Microgeophagus, which is a similarly related genus. They're much more fussy than these guys, so these are probably the better dwarf cichlids to start off with. But don't go for the rarer genuses, because they can go into not insane prices, it's worth it, but they're higher prices and you don't want to lose a fish when you're paying quite a bit of money. So I've always found when you first get them, they're not the easiest to feed. So I always start on frozen and slowly wean them off onto dry foods. And I feed, I've just finished New Era cichlid pellets, which I can't find anymore. They do like Rapashi, Hikari, I fed, NT Labs cichlid food. I used to feed the big Hikari cichlid pellets, but only the big males can eat it, which makes it a little difficult. And this male wasn't as responsive to it, so my previous gold male would eat it. And the one thing with dwarf cichlids is they are shy. They are micro predators, but micro is the key thing. So they're very nervous, specifically at first. So when you first get your fish, it will hide a lot. And I found that because when I go to university, I come back weekends, but other than that, they don't have much movement around the tank, but not many people seeing them. So they just got really shy and they're not used to people. And the same with my loaches, they aren't used to people being around when I'm away mostly. So this is kind of the most confident they are at the moment, and I'm keeping a little bit away. Cichlids can be quite shy, even Severums, when you first get them, especially when they first come into a shop, they can be very nervous. The thing is with dwarf cichlids, unlike quite a few cichlids, is they like their densely planted tanks with loads of bogwood, preferably not stones. It's not natural for them and it doesn't release the tannins. You can use, I've got a coconut right at the back, coconut shell, which one of the females was breeding in, but then she gave up, which is typical. But I prefer not for these guys to breed, and the pangios will eat any of their babies, and so will, or any of the fry, and so will the flash pecks. I do recommend them, definitely. Water, pH, yeah, definitely about 6. So the hardness would be a lot lower. It depends what measure of hardness you use. I use my TDS meter generally to measure it, but that includes other things. Oh, we got Clown Pleco coming out. Yeah, she's in a grumpy cut. Oh, she's going to go back in. And the flash pleck, that's Clive, my smaller flash pleck, because I've got 2. And they all come out around now. They think it's feeding time, but I've only just fed the dwarf cichlids because it's in the middle of the day. Due to their behaviour, I wouldn't have them with gourami, personally. You could maybe keep them with chocolate gourami. Something a bit more like reserved, similar to them, but nothing that's too plucky, so none of the pearl gourami, opalines. They're perfect with pleco. Not in a breeding setup because they will predate on eggs, and they won't leave the plecos alone for they take the caves generally. They're not suitable with shrimp, like any sort of fish that size. They will eat the shrimp. They're generally just easy. They're not a pain to keep. They do change colours. So at the moment, the female at the front, she's in one of her just general colours. She will go bright orange. She might be changing it now, but that's when she's more wanting to breed. And the male doesn't change colours much. She does when the lights are out too long. So I had a period where I needed new lights and he went really pale. The other female is the subdominant, so she's a lot darker, she's a lot more reserved. So, but the cichlids do change colour an awful lot. The gold's not so much, and you can't really see the colour change. But generally, if you want to plant a setup, they're perfect. And if you're just starting out, as long as you do your research and understand what these fish require, they're not difficult to keep and they're not going to kill all your tank. I find them a lot less territorial than Microgeophagus, which seems to be territorial when they don't really reserve a bit of the tank for their territory. The one main thing, other than having all this decor, is they require sand or fine gravel. Like most cichlids, they dig, and you probably saw the male a bit earlier digging, which means they do need some substrate which they won't choke on and is not tough on them. They can go with smaller fish, as you can see lampreys, and they are tiny. Well, this is the big female at the bottom now, but I've got a very small male and 2 very small females, and they're not really that predatory towards them. They will be towards very small, like the micro Raspora. But I've kept them with clown killifish before. I'll put all the all the species I recommend, and I might do videos on other genuses of door cichlids, but I don't own any other than the Apistogramma at the moment. I used to own Latacara, the Nanacara, Microgeophagus. I would like Ivanacara, and there are a few others which are more borderline onto the category because it's not official taxonomic one. Anyway, I'll just do some close-ups to show the male. He's noticed me, but as you can see, my camera's not, there we go. It's not very good at focusing. Yeah, so that's the male. And my camera's going out of battery. So thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please comment, rate and subscribe. Thank you, bye.